Yeah. Oh, what's up, dudes? How's it going? How you doing? How you doing? You know, have you seen this one before? I think you have. I don't bring it out that much because it's got a bad jack, and it if I move around too much, it buzzes. It shorts out. The Sumatran blend is back. You know it's winter when the Sumatran shows back up at Costco. So, I actually wrote down my agenda again because I thought that really worked out well. Kept me on track. All over the place. So this is my Ibanez RG560. I totally remember buying it. I was working at the music store at the time. It was January of 1988, maybe February. I'm pretty sure it was January. And they had just come back from the NAMM show, the 88 NAMM show. They were displaying all the new guitars, the new Gem, the green one, which I had briefly. Those on my Facebook page have seen it. I have a picture posted up there. And so, you know, the Ibanez sales guy was just the funniest bastard. He fucking chain smoked nonstop. He had the brownest teeth, and he would just drink coffee. And I totally remember the conversation he had when he came in. He's got the catalogs. He's got all the new guitars. And he's going, we allowed smoking, right? This is like 88. I don't think we banned smoking in the store until we moved to the new store. And that was, when was that? Well, maybe we were already in the new store. Yeah, we had to be in the new store. So we were in the new store, and we still allowed smoking. I don't think we banned it until like 89 or 90. And so we... He came in, and we're going through the catalog. He's like, check out all the new guitars, and he's got the cigarette going, and he's like, let me just tell you what's going to happen right here. He's going. He goes, at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, there's going to be two guitar companies left. Fender, because you can't get rid of Fender. So fucking funny. He's like, you can't get rid of Fender, okay? They're an institution. They're not going anywhere. And Ibanez. That's the only two that are going to be left. I was like, that's a bold statement. But you know what? To some degree, he was right. Ibanez came in, and at the time, they were probably, you know, a second or third tier, you know, at the time. I mean, definitely second tier. Your top tier was like Gibson and Fender. Those were that was the Coke and Pepsi at the time. And these guys just showed up out of nowhere with this whole new line, and they absolutely dominated the market. And you know, there was a period where Ibanez was just the guitar to have. And you know, it was artist endorsements. They completely pursued the artist endorsements, and it completely paid off for them. And quite frankly, you couldn't give a Gibson away in 1987. They were really hard to sell, but Slash came out, and all of a sudden they got hot again. And it just goes to show you how artist endorsements do make a difference. So, you know, they had Steve Vai, they had Paul Gilbert, all these up-and-coming young shredders, you know, would come out. So I was jamming at the Knights of Columbus Hall with some buddies, because we like rented the Knights of Columbus like upstairs, like this little room to jam. and we were taking a break, and we went up to the music store, and they were unpacking the boxes. This was my day off, and they were unpacking the boxes, and I probably like broke a string, or I needed something, and we stopped up at the store, and I saw this on the wall. I was like, what the hell is that? And it was just beautiful. And he was like, that's one of the new Ibanez guitars. I'm like, look at that. That's a hell of a guitar right there. And so I pull it down. I'm like, oh my God, the neck is so thin. Of course, my boss pulls out the calculator, and he's like, you can take that home today with a hard shell case for $419. And then, as a matter of fact, you don't have to give me any money. Just walk out the door with it right now, and we'll take a little bit out of your check each week. And I was like, let's do it. Write it up. Write it up. And I literally, my friends were stunned. They're like, you're leaving with a new guitar? I'm like, I am. I want this guitar. So this was like literally like the first guitar they got in, and then like a couple of days later they got in the Road Flare Red, the Desert Sun Yellow, and the white RG550. I bought the white RG550 because I love this guitar so much. I said I want a maple neck one. I got that had a maple neck on it, and I sold it to a buddy of mine. I am still friends with that guy, and I'm going to hook up with him and get him to come over and bring my old my white RG550. He still has it. I can't believe it. All this time later, like more than, we're going on 25 years now. So, as you can tell, this guitar has been to hell and back. It's got EMGs in it, SA 89 with a push-pull. I lost the tip of this a long time ago. I have the back plates, but I don't know where they are. So I'm using a clear unidirectional bonding strip for the back to keep everything in there. And as you can see, it's missing a lot of paint because my basement floods. And it wasn't like that when we moved in here. And what happened was, we have a sump pump, and one time we had about this much water in the ground, and on the floor, and I forgot to turn the sump pump on. I didn't have it plugged in. Then I didn't hardwire it, but I sent a special line over direct in. Always going to be on. It only goes on when the water rises so far. Other than that, it just stays quiet. So then about 2 years later, we had like 12 inches of rain over the course of 3 days. And I came down here, and the water was like this. And this was on a guitar stand. It was up over the bottom of the guitar stand. So now you're in trouble. And ruined one of my computers. It was on the floor. I mean, just the things were floating. It was a mess. I was like, oh my God, the sump pump is off. But it was on. The water was coming in so fast, the sump pump just couldn't keep up and pump it out. And I panicked. I called my dad, who luckily at one time owned an above ground pool, and he never throws anything away. He had a submersible pump that was a hell of a pump. And I ran over there, got the pump, drove back here, and plugged it in, and it took about 2 hours of nonstop for both those pumps going non-stop to finally get it down where the floor was just wet, and they had to run like non-stop. I mean, the water was just pouring in. Never been like that since. I've never had that. Was like a once in a 10-year event apparently, so hopefully I won't see something like that again. But and I'm much better about shedding water away from the house, but it doesn't matter. I'm up on a hill, and there's a bunch of shale underneath, and who knows how far down the dirt goes before it gets to rock. I mean, there's a giant rock sticking out of my neighbor's front yard, so I'm pretty sure, we don't have to go too far before we get to rock, and the ground gets saturated, and the water comes just straight up through the floor. So anyway, what happened was this whole thing swelled up, and then dried out, and then all the paint fell off. But, whatever. You'll also notice it's got a scalloped fingerboard. I scalloped the fingerboard pretty quickly. I think I bought it in January of '88, and I probably scalloped it in maybe 89 or 90, It's what all the kids were doing back then, so. So sometimes, I play this and I'm just like, I'm scalloping all my guitars, or I'm only going to play a scallop guitar, but, you go in and out on it. It's my only scallop guitar, so apparently I haven't been bit with the bug that much. This is all original. That knob was black when I bought it. And I've chromed her up over the years by literally wearing the paint off of it. So, this guitar is like literally 25 years old, and I've owned it the entire time, and it's been pretty good. The bridge is up a hair. I think I went from 9s to 10s, and I never really adjusted it. How many springs? I got 3 springs in the back. I got a tiny bit more of adjustment in it. I suppose I could just, either put a couple of stronger springs in it, or tighten it down just a hair more, and it'll probably pull it back. But at any rate, the RG560. What else is on the agenda? Oh, my favorite books. Some people ask me, they send me emails, and they're like, can you recommend a book? I can. I have a few books. One of my favorite books. This is the 1982. In 1992 they reissued it. It's called The Guitar Handbook, and this is an awesome book. It has, let me see if I can find a good page here. It's got everything, it's got all kinds of breakdowns of chords. It's got, where is that scale? Great on the cycle of fourths and the cycle of fifths. Analyzing and transposing songs. And then just whole sections on, just guitars. I think that's a Yamaha, right? Yeah, like they're Yamaha. So he's updated it a bit, Mr. Andy Summers, and I really like. Yeah, there's some dots for you. So I highly recommend this book, The Guitar Handbook. It's lasted for what? I bought this probably I bought it before I worked at the music store. I've had this book a very, very long time. I probably bought it in like 82 or 83, like when it came out. I probably bought it at the Booksmith because they didn't carry too many books, and this looks exactly like the type of book that they would carry. Great book. Another good book, How to Write Songs on Guitar. That title is a little misleading because what it really does is it goes through a lot of theory. It goes through a lot of common chord changes and gives you chord examples. It also has some really good sections, see? Like chords and here's a thing on like rhythm and arpeggios. And it gets into things that are a little off music, things like, writing lyrics and stuff. But, here it is, it's going through, diatonic chords, harmonized chords to a scale. Here it's showing a 1-7-6-5, 6-2-2. So, doing sequences, borrowing from other keys. It's a great book. It's a really, really good book. I recommend it. How to Write Songs on Guitar. It's by Ricky Rooksby. And I can recommend that one. What else? This is where it all started for me. This was the guitar I started on when I was 6 years old. The Guitar Method Grade 1 by Mel Bay. And if you're so into it and you want to learn how to read, you go to book 2. And book 3, and I'm pretty sure it goes up to, what does it go to? It goes to 7. And by the time you get to 7, you'll be able to read all up and down the entire neck. Guitar players fall into a trap with tab. And this isn't me. This is other people I've seen that they basically say, I'm not going to use their exact phrase, but tab is for, for people who are afraid of, standard notation. Don't be afraid of standard notation. It's very valuable. Now, you don't have to be a sight reader, but, and in fact, I use tab. I'm not a tab snob by any means. I use tab all the time, quite frankly, especially for fingerings. You can't get better. And I've really come to learn how to read tab pretty well. So, probably much quicker than I can read standard notation. But I read the notation for the rhythm. And that's one thing your tab is just not going to give you. So just learning rhythm alone, sight reading rhythm, is so worth it. So I really recommend everybody go through and learn standard notation at some point. It is really, really worth it. And in fact, what do you call a person who can, speak a language but not read it or write it? Would call them illiterate, right? So are you musically illiterate? Right? So something. And probably one of my favorite books, a very zen approach to guitar, is The Advancing Guitarist by Mick Goodrick. In fact, now that I'm saying the authors, who wrote this one? This is Ralph Denyer, D-E-N-Y-E-R. That's Ralph Denyer, I think, Denyer, D-E-N-Y-E-R. This is by Mick Goodrick, who's actually a local cat, I'm pretty sure. Right? He's out of Brookline or Boston, and he is awesome. Of course, this whole book is standard notation. You're not going to get a tab with this guy, but I just enjoyed reading it. I loved his descriptions, and I could just read this book a dozen times because there's a lot of narrative, and it's very well written, and it's kind of funny. I really love this book. It was recommended to me by someone else, and I just love this book. The Advancing Guitarist by Mick Goodrick. Highly recommended. And lastly, a couple of books I scored at, what's the now? Not the Booksmith. What's it called? Barnes & Noble. God. What the hell is wrong? Wait, more coffee. Barnes & Noble. And, these were in, like, the super cheapo bin. I think I paid, might have been $7 or $8 a book. It's pretty cheap. They're hardcover. The Ultimate Gibson book, the Ultimate Fender book. And I want to point out a couple of guitars to you. When I was, just starting out, this was like literally when I was 14, I think I had been playing guitar about, a couple of weeks. I had an old Supro tube amp, and I decided that it took too long to warm up. I mean, again, just stack it on the pile of shit I wish I never sold. But I had a killer Supro amp. I wound up putting it on consignment and selling it, and buying a Ram amp. Actually, I think I had the Ram amp at the same time. I did. I had the Ram and the Supro at the same time. I had the Supro first. I bought the Ram. I remember I got the Ram amp. My dad was like, what do you think? I said, I think it sounds okay. He goes, well, let's hear the old one. I plugged in the older one. He goes, are you fucking shitting me? Your old amp blows this new one away. And he was right. He was absolutely right. And so I was like, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe I need a different amp. So anyway, my parents, they're like, because I'm 14 and they don't know who to talk to. So they're like, Paulette, Louie's wife, they have a friend whose son plays guitar, Ronnie. And Ronnie, right? 'Cause Boston, right? Ronnie will come over and he'll help you out. So sure enough, Ronnie comes over the house one day, and he's like, tell me about your amp. And I said, well, I got a Supro. He's like, not bad. I said, and a Ram. He's like, never heard of it. And he goes, what amps are you looking at? And I named like an amp. He's like, never heard of it. I go, and a Fender Twin. He goes, buy the Twin. The Twin is a killer amp. I own a Twin. I know a bunch of people that own Fender Twins. Buy the Fender Twin. I was like, okay. So it was a crate. I think the other one was a crate. He's like, nah, buy the Twin. You'll never regret it. Get that Twin. Okay. So he's like, we play up at the Pixie Theater. If you're wondering where I got my name from, it's kind of a spoof on Lexi Fox, but Pixie came from the Pixie Theater. So the Pixie Theater was a movie theater in Hyde Park, and above it was rehearsal space for bands. And you'd go up this big giant flight of stairs. God forbid you ever fell down it, you'd be dead. Big massive flight of stairs, and you'd go all the way up to the set. Today, we wouldn't allow that. You'd have to have landings every so many feet, but this building's like 100 years old. So the big massive flight of stairs, you'd go up, and there was a giant long hallway, and there was bands all up and down there. So I go up, and I see Ronnie's band. And this is Ronnie's guitar. That's Telly's. Where is it? 50, right there. This is what he's got. Right there. 1954 Stratocaster. And he's telling me, he goes, this guitar is actually pretty vintage, and this is in 1980. This is probably, in fact, I'm pretty sure I remember it was like October and November of 1980. And I went up to the band. I brought a tape recorder. I recorded them on my little boom box. I was so into them. And I remember sitting there going, geez, I wonder what they're gonna sound like. And they go 1, 2, 3. And they start playing, the Beatles, and they're doing another one bites the dust. Then they're doing, all these killer covers, and then they had a bunch of their own stuff I thought sounded great. And he's got the 54 Strat. Well, wouldn't you know it, years later, he comes into the music store, and he's put on a lot of weight. And of course, back then he's 19, he's super thin. He comes back up, and he comes in the music. I'm Ronnie. He's like, oh my God, Steve. And I was like, whatever happened to the 54 Strat? He's like, oh, don't ever bring that up again. I was like, oh, did it get stolen? He's like, no. He goes, I needed money. He goes, I was flat broke. He goes, I went down at Wurlitzer to trade it in. I'm like, no, because I know what happens when you trade stuff in. And he goes, yeah. He goes, so I go in there and I open it up, and they're freaking out, and they go we'll give you $800. He goes, a customer sees it, and he's like, I'll give you $1,000. And the store goes, we're doing a deal here. And the customer goes, I'll give you $1,200. I can go to the bank right now and get you $1,200 for that guitar. And the store goes I'll give you $1,500. And he goes, I'll give you $1,600, and I can go get the cash right now. And the store's like, listen, I'm not going to get in the bidding contest. You can sell it to this guy. All right, now you can go take your chances with him. He goes, the guy ran right out and came back with $1,600 bills. Went right out to the bank and got me $1,600. He goes, I did the deal. He goes, I sold it. He goes, and I knew right then from the bidding war that I was getting ganked in a major way. And it's a guitar that's probably worth, I don't know, 15, 20 grand. It was kind of beat up, but it's still worth thousands and thousands of dollars more than what he sold it for. There was a guy down the hall named Steve, if I remember correctly, and he had a Les Paul. And let me just pull out, this is it, I'll never forget it. He had a 52 Les Paul. And of course, he's telling me there's a very old and vintage guitar. And again, this is in 1980. So this guitar in 1980, it's still pretty old, but not like it's old now. And I'll never forget that trapeze tailpiece. And I was like, geez, for a guitar that's, supposedly so nice, it looks like it's sort of just, hobbled together. I had never seen anything like that. And of course it had the small pickups, the P90s, and he was like, yeah, this is a really expensive guitar and very vintage. And there was another band up there next door, so I don't know whatever happened to that. He could still own that for all I know. I was only up there for maybe 6 months, maybe a year. I was going up there, and then I wasn't going up there anymore. And I think the band broke up. And then there was another guy next door. He had a band, and I'll never forget, the Lanks. For whatever, I can't even remember the other band's names, but this other band, I remember the name, the Lanks, because I remember him telling me, and it has nothing to do with Lanks Liquors. There was a Lanks Liquors right down the street. He goes, I didn't get the name from Lanks Liquors. That's probably why I remember it, because I'm like, dude, I'm 14. I have no idea what you're fucking talking about. It's I'm not going to a liquor store. I'm fucking 14. I meet people in alleys to go buy me beer. I don't walk into goddamn package stores. And so I bought a Shure Vocal Master. Remember those? The Shure Vocal Master? All-tube PA system. And, man, I used to love that. What else did I have? Is that it? Was that all I had for books? Let me see here. What else? New video schedule. I was asking my buddies on my Facebook page, should I increase my videos? And I was thinking about doing 2 or 3 a week, but some people think that could be too many. Everyone said definitely at least 1 a week. So it's probably going to be 1 or 2 a week. And I was thinking about doing a blog video or a review video and a lesson video. once a week. But that could be actually too much. That would probably be not sustainable. But maybe I can do like a 2-day-a-week schedule and get them out, because I just find that I come on here and do videos when I get a moment, and I want to do something a little bit more frequent. I can tell you, I got 2 more videos coming out this year. I'm working on a kick-ass version of Jingle Bells, and then I'm not really sure what I'm going to do for the last one, but the Jingle Bells one will be out very soon. Just got to work on one little section of it that's, and just get the whole thing up to speed. But it's going to be awesome. I think you guys are really going to dig it. I should play guitar once in a while. Man. So yeah, I'm definitely going to have a couple more videos out this year, and next year I'm probably going to start a little bit more frequency. So, and I'm also thinking about doing, not on this channel because I just don't think it blends with it, but I was thinking about doing, give me feedback on it, just videos that are almost like that Khan Academy style, where I'm not on camera, but I'll do a screen capture of some notation software and just literally start with the basics. Here, there's a staff. Let's go through the intervallic method of putting together a major scale, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, and then you start to move the wholes and the halves around it. You can go through all the modes, and then you find out when you use the parallel versus derivative. There's all different ways to derive the the modes, and start to put together clusters and tones, and adding sevenths, adding color, all those things, getting into substitutions. So it would start off pretty basic, but over time it would build. And so maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll do 2 videos on this channel and like 1 video on the other, time permitting. I'd really try to focus on this one because this is where it tends to be. And that is about it, other than Merry Christmas. Man, that sounds up, huh? So that's about it, guys. Quick little blog video. That's probably running like a fucking half hour now. I worry about my cursing, but you know what? Like I was telling somebody else, I worked at an auto garage for like 1980 to 1986, and it's like age 14 to age 20, and that's a hell of an education. And that, you just get impregnated with the F-bomb. Hand me that fucking wrench, you fucking asshole. Mainly arguing with customers. Well, I'll tell you how it's going to work out. We're going to keep your fucking car in the garage, and every day you fucking don't come and pick it up and pay your fucking bill, it's going to be $15 fucking. How's that, asshole? Because, man, you get people that are like, I'm going to sue you, I'm going to this, I'm going to yell, fuck off, we're keeping your car, go suck a fucking dick. So you really learn quickly to deal with confrontation. Anyway, guys. See, the bending is so much easier with the scallop fingerboard. hammers and pulls can be a little easier too. If you're wondering what this is, let me check out. What is this? Guitar rig? Guitar rig 5. Solo delay 51, patch number 54, and the new in GR5. All right, guys. I think that about wraps it up. Have an awesome Christmas, and I'll see you in the Jingle Bell video. But you know, when I do covers, I turn the mic off because I don't want the extraneous noise. So it's usually like pantomime, and then run it. And then I'll see you for one more video before the end of the year. It's either going to be another cover or it's going to be a blog. I'll figure it out before then. All right. Rock on.